You know that feeling when everything just clicks? Your mind is sharp, your mood is steady, your body feels like it's firing on all cylinders. That's not luck, that's what your body is capable of every single day. Now, I've looked into a lot of fish oil supplements, and honestly, most of them are mystery sourced, overprocessed, blasted with heat, and packed with synthetic add-ins. But this one is different. Omega-3 Rejuvenate from Big Bold Health starts with wild Alaskan salmon and cod, sustainably caught from some of the cleanest waters on the planet, and then it's processed at low temperatures to preserve what actually matters. We're talking about real omega-3s, naturally occurring vitamins A and D, and pro-resolving mediators, or PRMs, that help your body balance its own immune response. What does that mean for you? Clearer thinking, more stable mood, and real nature-based support for your heart and immune system. No shortcuts, no synthetic nonsense. And it was developed by Dr. Jeffrey Bland, a true pioneer in the world of complementary health. If you want to feel the difference, go to bigboldhealth.com/Hoffman. That's bigboldhealth.com/Hoffman and use code Hoffman for 20% off site-wide. Once you feel it, you'll know. Welcome back to today's Intelligent Medicine Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ronald Hoffman. We're talking to Nathan Jones, who's CEO of Clear. He's a frequent contributor here on Intelligent Medicine because he's an expert on preventive treatment when it comes to dental health and respiratory health. And the Clear products, the XLEAR products, are really something that I've relied upon literally for decades. For respiratory health and also for dental health, and I've been recommending it to my patients and listeners. So, Nate, you are also involved on the health freedom front, and I think a lot of listeners are familiar with your saga in relationship to the Federal Trade Commission that tried to muzzle you when it came to truthful claims about your products. Ultimately, you prevailed. What's going on? Any new developments?
Well, I think I mentioned last time that we actually sued them back, and it's not really that we're suing the FTC to get anything out of them. What we want is, I think the FTC dismissed our lawsuit because they realized they were going to lose, and they didn't want a judgment against them. And really, so we have one case that is pending right now, and all we're asking is for the judge to interpret the statute in a way that outlines what the FTC can and cannot ask of a company or an individual, because the FTC has a history of changing the rules as they go. I mean, even just in our case, they changed the rules 2 or 3 times while in the course of our lawsuit. And that's ridiculous. And they just said, well, this is how we interpret the statute.
There's a legalism for that. I think it's called arbitrary and capricious, which means, we keep changing the goalposts. And, yes. I think it was also around the issue of you submitting proof of the efficacy of your products. And it was like, well, here's a study. And they said, well, that study is not good enough. And besides, we need 2 studies. Like, where does it say in the enabling legislation for the FTC that in order to demonstrate product claims that you have to submit 2 studies of a certain nature, and if it was 2, then they'd say you need 4, and on and on it goes.
And that's exactly what the issue is, and we want a judge to outline that. But the other one is that we will probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks have another lawsuit filed, because when the FTC sent us a warning letter, they posted it everywhere. They pushed it out to the media. They pushed it on social media. They talked about it everywhere.
Yeah, happened to me too. Happened to me too when I made reasonable claims about the benefits of nutritional supplementation in the face of COVID. And by the way, there's a recent study that shows that people who take even a multivitamin, probably crappy multivitamin, it didn't prevent them from getting COVID, but it actually shortened the duration and reduced the severity of COVID. And that's essentially what I wrote. I got a very strict warning letter from the FTC. The first lawyer that I called said, How long were you thinking about practicing medicine? It was that scary. It was like, really? This is a terminal, existential threat. And it's very scary to get warning letters like that.
Yeah. And so and then when they actually sued us, they did a whole other big PR push. I mean, all it was on all the news channels here in Utah. It was in lots of the media. It was everywhere, and they continued to push that out there. And when they dropped their case, they dropped it with prejudice, which means they acknowledged that everything that we had said was truthful and correct.
Mm-hmm.
And we asked them multiple times to take down all of the
Oh,
social posts and all of the other stuff that they had done, and they haven't taken it down.
right. So in effect,
And so
it's libelous.
it is. That's 100% libelous
Mm-hmm.
because they've acknowledged that it's true, and they're still leaving all of those statements up there.
Well, there's reputational damage when people, somebody may listen to this podcast and they may say, "Oh, let me look up this company," and it's like, "Oh, they have an FTC complaint that was lodged against them. Oh, they must be, they must be a fraudulent operation." Is that
Well, I'll give you an example of how it is affecting our business. We were contacted by a couple of doctors out of what's it, Brigham and Mary Hospital, Brigham and Women's something in
that would be
Boston.
Harvard. That's a Harvard, yeah, Harvard affiliated
Yeah.
hospital. Yeah,
So we were contacted by a couple of doctors working in that hospital, and they said, "Hey, we've been recommending your nasal spray for years."
yeah,
And the chief doctor, the chief medical person in the hospital is saying, "We can't talk about it because you guys were being sued by the FDA."
yeah.
And first of all, the FDA kindly declined to sue us and told the FTC that they didn't think they had a case. That's the first mistake in this statement. The second mistake in that statement of this doctor, but he actually said, "You need to stop talking about that clear product because the government's suing it."
Mm-hmm.
My first gut reaction is, okay, well then you can't talk about any pharmaceutical product out there because almost every pharmaceutical product,
Right.
every pharmaceutical company has at some time had a warning letter or been sued by the government. So every single
Or they've
pharmaceutical
had
company,
product liability payouts, because
all of that.
literally, I mean, even for some of the most seemingly effective drugs, a minority of people are harmfully affected and they get payouts. And so that's on the record.
Exactly. But so the head doctor still refused to allow these other physicians practicing there to talk about our products and demanded that they stop. And I don't know the whole story behind it, but that's a perfect example of how the information that the FTC is leaving up online, people are still searching and finding clear and finding these lawsuits that the FTC's already acknowledged that
Yeah.
everything we said was true.
Yeah.
And so that's a good example of how it is affecting our business. And so we're gonna sue the FTC and we're gonna seek damages for that.
Yeah. No, good, because they could easily say, "Oh, we'll take it down." But I think that there is a case to be made for concrete damages that they have inflicted reputationally, and in terms of also your vendors, your commercial relationships. Uh, that that I think is a reasonable course. Now, uh, I think there's more to it than just defending Clear and making sure that Clear remains a viable company. I think there's more ramifications for the supplement industry and natural products industry in general, right? And so you're taking
Oh,
it upon your shoulders to do
100%.
this, and and you're not getting enormous funding from some super PAC, right, to do
No,
this.
no, no. We aren't getting funding from anybody. We're getting a little bit of help from some of the organizations like the Alliance for Natural Health. Um, but that's not. I don't know that I would say that's
Not so
necessary
much money, but
financial. It's
some sweat equity, in terms of helping with
yeah,
formulating the legal arguments.
yeah. But and I think it's important to push back. But I think that the benefit to the natural products industry is the first lawsuit against the FTC is if a judge comes out and dictates and outlines what the FTC can and cannot ask of a company. That's going to give a lot of clarity to the entire industry. Okay, that's going to be that lawsuit will be a great benefit to the entire industry. The one that we're about to file, I think that one is also a big one because if we can go back to the FTC, when the FTC puts all of this stuff out there,
Hmm.
they're going to have to be really careful about
Right.
the garbage that they put out there
Hmm.
because a lot of it was slanderous. It's
Yeah.
libelous, whatever,
Yep.
whatever you want to call it.
Hmm.
And the FTC follows a rule that if we put something up, then they can charge us, I think it's $45,000 a day per person that sees it online.
Oof.
And that adds up pretty quickly.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you
But that's
remember, but
that's
there
just
was
very, very one-sided. That's sort of it's like the deck is stacked in their favor, and they have unlimited resources, and you have a finite resource as relatively small, nimble company.
so if we can, well, what we're going to try to do, and we're probably not going to be successful, but we're going to try is to have that same bar held against the FTC. If the FTC puts something that's libelous and false and misleading and puts it up online and leaves it up online,
Hmm.
they should have to pay the person that they're doing that $45,000 a day for every person that sees it.
Okay.
And there was a doctor in Missouri or Kansas who the FTC actually sued,
Hmm.
and they sued him for like $5.5 billion, not 5.5 billion, $550 billion,
Okay.
because he was talking about vitamin, I think it was vitamin D,
Hmm.
and they said it's $45,000 a day for every person that looked on your webpage,
Okay. Do the math on that.
and do the math, and it adds up really quick.
Hmm.
And but the FTC, that would add up quicker.
Yeah. 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 They've got more
So
bandwidth than your website. So yeah,
yeah,
let me know about the progress of that because I might be wanting to have a word with some of your legal advisors on that. Not that I have to say though, not that it really made a dent for me. It was more the principle that I fought it and ultimately prevailed, and they withdrew their complaint. But it was the principle of it, and again, I like you. When I faced with that, I could have just said, "Okay, I'll be a good boy. I'm going to withdraw my claims. I'll get rid of it." Like you say, take it down. They said, take it down. And I said, these are truthful claims. Quoting eminent scientific journals with high quality studies. And I'm not claiming that this is some sort of panacea for COVID. I know that COVID was a hot button there, and there was a lot, people were worried about COVID quackery, and people were selling, sound machines that were supposed to disrupt the viral envelope, and it's weird stuff. And I think the public needs to be safeguarded to some extent from really quackery and outright fraud. But
well, I think if they want to do that, they just need to get rid of the NIAID.
okay, well that's the National Institute for Allergy and Infectious Disease, which is a nice segue to talking about allergy. It's summertime, but almost summertime. It's actually late spring, but almost summer as we record this. And that means that it doesn't mean that spring allergies are over. Summer allergies are a big thing. And, I wish I had a piece of the action of the antihistamine industry because people quaff antihistamines continuously, and there's all different forms of them. There's nasal antihistamines. There are things you apply to your eyes, and of course, the ubiquitous pills that people take. So, is there a use case for clear in treatment of allergies?
Yeah, just good nasal hygiene is going to help reduce the symptoms of these seasonal allergies. It does it. I mean, I'll give you a great example. When we first started Clear in 2000, so 26 years ago. In fact, 26 years ago, 2 days ago is when we started the company. Um, we were only talking about xylitol and how it could help with childhood ear infections.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because that's what we
Very
understood.
limited scope.
We
That was where the studies were. Yeah.
very limited scope. That's what the studies were. But within 2 or 3 years, we started asking some of our customers that, hey, we're thinking about a line extension. What would be a good product, and what are you using the product for? Where do you see this? And even within 2 or 3 years, we found that most of our customers were using our products for allergies. And it was, we're like, and that totally surprised us. We're like, what? Huh? What? But anyways, we came out with our Clear Max, which has capsaicin in it, which is a natural, a low grade antihistamine. I don't know how you want to call that. But it helps, reduce that histamine response. But the xylitol, again, it's going to help your body. It's going to help your snot, your mucus, trap and flush away a lot more of these allergens before your body has a chance to react to them.
Mm-hmm. Right. So it is the proverbial nasal wash that I think a lot of cultures, way before we began to adopt it in the 20th century, that many cultures for millennia, as we brush our teeth and wash our bodies, they use various forms of nasal cleansing.
Yeah. I mean, the Muslim population, they use water and flush their nostrils out before they go to pray. The Indian population, that's where the term neti pot comes from. But yeah, all of that. And our product is just an extension of that. We've actually, it's in stability now. We should have it out on the market by the end of the year, but we've added an ingredient to it called ectoine
what is it called?
It's called ectoine. Have you ever heard of it?
No. What is it?
So it's a compound that comes it's a bacterial excretion that
it's a postbiotic in effect.
Correct. But it comes from bacteria that live in hostile environments, like in high acidic environments or hot water temperatures. But what it does is it increases the surface tension of the water, of the fluid.
Okay.
And it's been used for decades in Europe, where they have what's called a Class 2A medical device category.
Is it a surfactant, formally speaking?
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to say it's a surfactant. I think it's the opposite of a surfactant. Because what it does, it makes the mucus stick together better. Oh. So you're creating a physical barrier in the mucus that is more. You're creating a better physical barrier between the air you're breathing in and the underlying tissue.
Okay.
And they don't have that.
I think a way to look at it is it supports the integrity of your natural mucus layer, which is a protective layer. It's where your defenses are, your IgA is secreted, which is actually the body's first barrier against infection. I mean, we have white blood cells that fight infection once it gets into our body, but we actually have a defense system in our mouths, in our nasal passages, in our urinary tracts, in our vaginal mucosa, and in the intestine that actually prevent infections from taking hold because they have to get past that barrier. Okay, so interesting.
And they've been using it in Europe and Russia and some of these other countries for decades, but because here in the United States we don't have this classification of a Class 2A medical device, there's no classification where anyone would ever bring it into the United States.
It's just not commercially viable, but for that reason.
Correct. And so we're actually adding it to our nasal spray, our Max nasal spray, which is for allergies, and it should be out later this year. But you can't make any claims for it other than it helps maintain the physical integrity, as you've pointed out, of that mucosal layer.
Okay, folks, at this point, let's pause and allow one of our sponsors an opportunity to share an important message with you. So here goes. Listen up. You know that feeling when everything just clicks? Your mind is sharp, your mood is steady, your body feels like it's firing on all cylinders. That's not luck. That's what your body is capable of every single day. Now, I've looked into a lot of fish oil supplements, and honestly, most of them are mystery-sourced, over-processed, blasted with heat, and packed with synthetic add-ins. But this one is different. Omega-3 Rejuvenate from Big Bold Health starts with wild Alaskan salmon and cod, sustainably caught from some of the cleanest waters on the planet, and then it's processed at low temperatures to preserve what actually matters. We're talking about real omega-3s, naturally occurring vitamins A and D, and pro-resolving mediators, or PRMs. that help your body balance its own immune response. What does that mean for you? Clearer thinking, more stable mood, and real nature-based support for your heart and immune system. No shortcuts, no synthetic nonsense. And it was developed by Dr. Jeffrey Bland, a true pioneer in the world of complementary health. If you want to feel the difference, go to bigboldhealth.com/Hoffman. That's bigboldhealth.com/Hoffman and use code Hoffman for 20% off site-wide. Once you feel it, you'll know. Ever walk into a room and forget why you're there? Lose your train of thought mid-sentence? Feel like your brain is running on fumes by 2 in the afternoon? Try Kyolic Specialty Series Smart Mushrooms Plus. This isn't caffeine. It's not some jittery stimulant that crashes you an hour later. This is a clean, science-backed formula built around certified organic lion's mane mushrooms, clinically shown to support the nerve growth factor that actually helps your brain maintain and organize neurons. We're talking real foundational support for focus and mental clarity, and it doesn't stop there. It's combined with Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract, aged up to 20 months on organic California farms, plus Aronia Berry Extract, selenium, and vitamin B12 for long-term brain health and executive function. 2 capsules with a meal, once a day, vegan, non-GMO, no gluten, no dairy, no artificial anything. Kyolic Smart Mushrooms Plus from Wakanaga. Learn more about this and the entire Kyolic Mushrooms Plus line at kyolic.com. That's KYOLIC.com. Look for Kyolic at natural health stores nationwide and online. Thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting our sponsors. They are what make Intelligent Medicine a continuing free resource to you. And now, back to today's guest, Nathan Jones, the CEO of Xlear, Xlear. Wait, I think you have sort of a stepwise program for nasal protection, and you have the regular Xlear, which is, I think it has some grapeseed extract in there as a mild preservative and antimicrobial, but there's mostly xylitol and saline. And then there's a step up from that with the capsicum, and then there's one that actually has a pharmaceutical ingredient in it.
So we have 4. You have
4.
the regular one, which we intend to use on a daily basis.
Right.
And that's just the regular Xlear. Then you have the Xlear Max, which is, if you know you're going to have seasonal allergies in January or, April, whenever, you just start using that. And then you have another one, which is the Rescue. And that has oregano, tea tree, eucalyptus, palo de arco. It's an antifungal. But if you ever feel like you're coming down with something, you use that and it'll help, get that upper airway cleaned out a lot faster and a lot better. And then we do have one with a decongestant, which is
right.
a 12-hour. And that was our first foray into OTC nasal products. And again, it has the same, it has oxymetazoline in it. And, and if you absolutely need it, use it.
I use it very sparingly because there is this thing, as you well know, of dependency that develops, and you can get what is medically termed rhinitis medicamentosa, which means nasal congestion that's medically caused because you get a rebound hypersecretion of mucus after you've suppressed it for too long. So I will use, occasionally. I mean, I'm a broadcaster, and if I was doing like a financial show, it wouldn't matter so much. But if you're doing a health show and you sound like this, it's not very credible. So if I have a cold and I want to keep to my broadcast schedule and I'm otherwise feeling okay, but I sound terrible, that's when I resort to that. But very rarely. I think I have a sample from you that's like 3 years old and it's sitting there. I think it's shelf stable, and I just keep it in reserve. The other thing that happens to me, and when I swim a lot, and I have to kind of ration my swimming, because if I spend too much time in chlorine, it's not so much that I get tired, it's that the exposure to chlorine just blows up my nasal passages. So there's a use case for some medication sometimes. But a lot of people are listening to this and say, well, I just take an antihistamine. I take Allegra. I take, some just over-the-counter thing. There's a whole shelf full of these things in drugstores. Why not rely? Why don't just take one every morning and every evening and just continuously take that? Is there a downside? Well,
there's a downside to most medications. And and there is a downside to antihistamines, decongestants, and steroids. I think people today more commonly are using steroids like fluticasone. They're using antihistamines also, but all of these are designed to shut down your body's immune response.
Yeah.
Okay. And so if your body is trying, if you breathe something in that your body perceives as a threat, the very first thing your body's going to do is create more mucus,
Yeah.
create more snot,
Get
trap
rid of
whatever it is,
Sure.
wash it out.
Yeah.
When you start to get sick, you're always going to get sick. You're always going to get more mucus first, and that's kind of the first sign. Hey, something's trying to get in my body. And if we use an antihistamine or a decongestant or a steroid, all we're really doing is shutting down that immune response. We're not really washing out the bacteria. We're not killing the pathogen. We're not, doing anything other than allowing that
or
pathogen
mobilizing
now to
the
get further
pollen
into our lungs.
Mobilizing the
Yeah.
pollen. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we're allowing it to get into our lungs because it's not getting cleaned out.
Mm-hmm.
And you would expect, I'll go back to what I said, a while back about the killing off everything in your oral microbiome. But if you're allowing more and more of this pollen and dander to get into your lungs, you'd expect to see an increase in allergies and asthma and things like that over time. And that's really exactly what we've seen since they've made antihistamines, decongestants, and nasal steroids OTC.
Right. And even now, there are monoclonal antibodies which suppress your IgE, which is your body's reaction to allergens, but also to parasites. And so that really is a big hit on your immune defenses, necessary for some people with life-threatening allergic conditions. But, maybe look for the root cause. I have to say that, in parting, because, with respect to your time, I think one of the really underexploited areas for use of xylitol nasal spray on a routine basis is for asthmatics, because I think a lot of people, and we in medicine we actually divide the respiratory tract. We have ear, nose, and throat people, and then there's like the Maginot line at the level of your throat, and then there are pulmonologists, and they kind of like they divide, they jealously guard their turf, but a lot of people don't realize that the respiratory tract is like an upside down tree with the roots that penetrate up into your sinuses, and then the trunk that goes down, that's your trachea, and then your bronchioles, and then the branches, which are your alveoli in your lungs. And stuff that's happening in your nasal passages doesn't know that they should stop at your neckline, because that's the job now of your pulmonologist. It's one system, and if it's all inflamed, and by the way, the gravity flow is for these harmful bacterial agents and whatever allergens to traverse downward, and go deep into your lungs.
It is, and in your lungs you have a system that actually transports all that up, and you swallow it. I mean, most people don't realize it, but you're eating, I think it's 2 to 3 cups of snot a day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's coming back up.
That's mucus that is laden with bacteria, but it is part of your immune response, because your stomach acids will neutralize a lot of that, and then as it goes through your I think it's in your small, most of them are in your small intestine. It goes by your Peyer's patches, and your Peyer's patches sense what that is, and they'll make antibodies for that.
Yeah,
that's how, people sit there, and I continue to argue with them that if you have asymptomatic COVID, or if you have asymptomatic any disease, then you don't really have the disease, because your immune system did its job.
Mm-hmm.
But you can breathe in a pathogen and never get sick from it and still have antibodies for it, because that's the way your immune system is meant to work. You breathe it in, it gets caught in your snot, goes into your stomach, gets neutralized, goes down into your gut. Your Peyer's patches make antibodies for it.
Well, hence the finding during COVID, of highly transmissible disease, that often spouses who were locked down in close proximity to one another, and family members, the transmission rate was about 25%. And I think you probably, even from your family circle and among friends, of instances where somebody got deadly sick and they were breathing the same air and they were in close proximity and didn't get anything.
Well, I don't personally know anybody that got deathly sick or even very sick from COVID.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that bespeaks, healthy lifestyle. And I think that you pretty much proselytize all your friends and family to use these products on a preventive basis. So, yeah, that's good stuff. All right. Well, look, we can go on and on. Let's save some for the rollout of some of these new products because I think that's exciting. Can people find out about this or have you launched?
We have not launched. I'm signing off on all of this stuff tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Mountain Time.
Okay.
That's the first order of business when I show up to work tomorrow.
Okay. So that should be grist for the mill for our next discussion. So we'll revisit some of the new products. So look for, an enhanced, a clear nasal spray, but also some of the oral products that contain pre and probiotics for balancing the oral microbiome. I think that's exciting new concept that's definitely ready for prime time now. And I think there'll be a lot of uptake from our listeners. So xlear.com, and you managed to penetrate the retail firewall. You're actually available in a lot of the major health food stores. Is that correct?
We're available in all the health food stores that I can think of. We're available at CVS and Walgreens and Target and Walmart, Kroger stores. I mean, most of your grocery stores, you're going to find our nasal spray products. We're pushing to get the Xylitol, the gum, and the mints and the oral care products into those stores. But it's
for the full range of products,
slog.
Xlear.com, you have Commerce Direct portal.
Absolutely. You can go to Amazon. You can go to our webpage. They have all of it.
Okay, good
and
stuff.
And at our webpage, you're probably going to find a lot more data backing up and explaining each product if you're a first-time user.
Okay, I'll let you go because I think you need to go for your pilot physical. You, just for our listening audience, you pilot your own plane, travel around?
Correct. And I have to get a pilot physical every couple of years.
Right. And it's not a little Piper Cub, people might imagine. What is it that you fly?
It's a single engine turboprop. It's called an Epic.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of the fastest, if not the fastest, single engine airplanes you can buy. I mean, there's a couple of single engine turbofan jets, like the Vision, what's it called? The Cirrus Vision jet.
Mm-hmm.
But the Epic is faster, flies further, carries more people. I mean,
you're kind of like,
we don't need to talk.
You're kind of like John Travolta. You pilot your own jet plane.
Well, you got to get there. You got to get there.
Well, next is certification to fly, a 737. Is that in the offing?
No, I'm actually right now. I should have it done in the next month or two, but I'm learning how to fly helicopters.
Oh my goodness gracious! Okay, well, good luck with that.
So if you ever come out to Utah, just look me up. I'll take you flying around in a helicopter.
Oh, that's fun. And I actually had a helicopter ride in New Zealand. When I was in New Zealand, we did a glacier hop, and I just thought that the guy was going to take us from this meadow up into the glaciers. So we climbed, we went to the glaciers. And I thought, oh, this is amazing. We landed on the glacier with the helicopter, and then we walked around on the glacier, and then he picked us up, and I thought we would just fly back. Like, no, he just went through the mountain pass, took us past the tallest mountain in New Zealand, and boy, was that exhilarating. A little scary, I have to say, but we had really good weather conditions, and it just blew my mind. I mean, it's like a peak experience. So good luck to you. It's tricky, entirely different type of flying, but all the best to you and your aviation exploits. Good luck to you.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, Nate, for joining us. Look forward to seeing you soon. I'm Dr. Ronald Hoffman, and this is the Intelligent Medicine Podcast. I want to thank you for listening to the Intelligent Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or your favorite podcast app, and get new episodes automatically downloaded every weekday. And please give us a rating and review. It truly helps new people discover intelligent medicine. The Intelligent Medicine Podcast is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute the practice of medicine, nursing, or other professional healthcare services, including the giving of medical advice, and no doctor-patient relationship is formed. The use of information on this podcast or materials linked from this podcast is at the user's own risk. The content of this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice for any medical condition they may have and should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions. Finally, please visit drhoffman.com and discover everything Intelligent Medicine has to offer, including frequently updated, unbiased health news and fully vetted product and supplement recommendations. There were many important reasons why I started my FullScript online supplement dispensary. I wanted to offer you the same curated professional-grade supplement brands that I use, the ones I know and trust. I also wanted to ensure that they weren't counterfeit or expired. Recently, I've been hearing more and more about counterfeit or expired products purchased from online retailers. With FullScript, you can be confident your supplements are genuine and they'll arrive with optimal freshness and potency. Also, buying through FullScript offers fast, free shipping, optional refill reminders, and a highly rated mobile app. It's safe, secure, HIPAA compliant, and offers world-class support. Go to drhoffmanstore.com for more information and to start your free FullScript account. You'll get access to the supplements and features you need to help you achieve your wellness goals, including my custom targeted protocols that combine the products I recommend to address specific needs: heart health, immune support, and much more. To get started, just go to drhoffmanstore.com, drhoffmanstore.com.